Hello friends, this is the Mind Killer, and we have got a interesting little video for you. We're going to go through the patch notes real quick. You might be wondering, what patch notes? There hasn't been a patch. Well, the patch is coming tomorrow, but we're going to they dropped the notes early so that we could see it because there's going to be significant downtime tomorrow morning. So I thought I would just run through these patch notes right now so you guys can know what to expect tomorrow, or you can see this tomorrow and tell me what you think. So we're going to run through them. They dropped them in the Discord, which you can get to by going to twitter.com/playprophecy to find the Prophecy Discord. So here we go. The first are balance changes. And the very first thing is that we see light is back. For those of you who have been playing, you know that light originally was a trait that was pretty overpowered because it just did a whole lot of stuff. And then they took it out because it just did way too much. So now new light gains 50, 75, and 100% crowd control reduction, which is still really powerful. Gaining crowd control reduction from a trait is going to be really good because you can put it on a bunch of different people instead of just like boots that can only go on one person. So we'll see if they add the other. There were a bunch of other things that light did. We'll see if they add any more. Luck. Crit chance is reduced, but now attacks cannot miss. So it still gives you some crit chance, and it gives you the ability to not miss your attacks. Very powerful. For me, I've only mostly used luck with assassin leaders because there's no way to increase an assassin leader's crit chance without luck. So having a leader that can't miss is pretty powerful. Void. Duration reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. That's good. It's a little overpowered. Everybody picked up Void. And the damage is reduced as well. That's also very good. It doesn't seem like it was reduced very much. 120 at the max, 60 at the lowest. So it'll definitely still be a powerful pickup, but it won't be as overpowered as it was. Athena, one of the lower leaders on the totem pole. Her protections have been increased from 45 to 55. Her health has increased by 100. Her passive radius is increased, and the passive healing is increased from 2 to 4%. So Athena's passive is basically like the wild trait where you increase a percentage of your health, and this is doubling that healing. So she's going to be pretty powerful in the healing game. And you don't have to be super close to her if the radius has been increased. It's not like Odin where you have to be next to him at the beginning of the match. It was anybody in that passive radius while she's moving around and attacking. So that's interesting. Loki. The base physical crit chance is improved to 50%. The passive has been reduced to 20%. Critical chance, another part of the passive is critical chance is now applied globally, and only units inside the passive radius will teleport. Interesting. Now that is interesting. So you don't, if you want to get that crit passive, usually you had to stand next to Loki, which meant you weren't going to keep your tanks and stuff there because positioning was pretty important with Loki, and it didn't make sense to teleport everybody, so you didn't want to all be next to him. So now applying that globally means that you can be more selective about who's going to teleport and still give everybody the crit chance at the same time. And the other passive now gives attacks cannot miss, so that's good. And you won't have to pick up luck. Odin, passive radius increased, which is great. One of my big problems with Odin is having to group with him. It limits your positioning. Poseidon, an issue has been fixed that was causing Poseidon's stun to last longer than intended. Effective stun duration changed from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. I don't know how often that issue was part of the problem with Poseidon, but Poseidon has been considered a pretty overpowered leader since the last patch. So if this is going to fix how long that stun lasts, and they're nerfing the stun to 2 seconds, I think that's going to balance him out pretty good. We'll have to see. Susano, passive attack speed increased from 30 to 40%. That makes sense. Duration increased from 12 seconds to the full round. That's insane. That is crazy. I mean, it's just at attack speed, so it's not like it's life changing, but that's a lot. I mean, a full round is 40 seconds. So that's a huge buff. Base physical damage reduced from 125 to 115. So he gets a little balance with it. Thanatos has a new passive. At the start of combat, all allies gain physical lifesteal for the round. Very cool. It'll be interesting to see how that's used with Thanatos, especially if it's combined and stacks with Demon. Thor, the passive, percent damage increased from 20 to 25%, and duration increased from 12 seconds to the full round. Also very interesting. That's a very big buff. Items. Ankh of the Earth. The scaling changed from 500 to 1,000 health to 600 to 1,800 health. So they're giving Ankh of the Earth a buff. Ankh of the Earth is the item that revives you when you die, kind of like what Keprialt does. And it's very good on pets because it also revives the pets, and you get more. And now you're going to get more health when you revive. So that'll be interesting to see how that's used. Bladed Web. All ranks now provide attacks reduce target attack speed by 95% for 4 seconds, and it gives attack speed. Now that's very good. This is not a very often picked up item because it's pretty situational in reducing somebody's attack speed. Giving attack speed definitely makes it more useful on more units. Bloodforge, the shield is increased. Bloodforge, I believe that's the one that gives you a shield when you crit. So this will be really good on assassins. It goes from 200 to 600, and now buffed to go from 300 to 900. Bonfire Bow, percent damage changed from 30 to 50 to 20 to 60. So it got nerfed on tier 1 and buffed on tier 3. And tier 2 is not changed. Bonfire Bow is a really good item on hunters. It's usually one of the more sought after items. So it's good to nerf it early and then compensate a little bit later. If you can find that tier 3, I feel like that hardly ever comes up. Divine Intervention, the threshold for activation is now 30%. This is good because there were some units that you could put Divine Intervention on and it just wouldn't activate because they would die. Because it used to be 20% and you would just get killed, right? So now it'll activate on more people and give them a chance to come back. Attack speed now scales from 50 to 150%. That's a smart change. It's good to have that scaling in there. And I'm pretty sure it was at 200% all ranks. So this is a nerf big time. Enchanted Blade now also gives 50. Now also, in addition to whatever it was doing before, which I do not know off the top of my head, magical crit damage, 50 to 100%. Oh, okay. Enchanted Blade is the one that gives you like 50% chance to crit with a magical ability. And now it's going to actually boost the damage too. That's very cool. Hades' Hot Hands. This was an interesting item that I picked up every now and then. The proc changed from 10 to 20 to 10 to 30, so it got a little buff there in the later pickups. Impenetrable Plate, proc chance changed from 12% at all ranks to 8, 16, 24. So that's kind of a buff nerf. It's a nerf on the early tier 1, but it's definitely a huge buff later on. And I have seen this item be super effective, especially with like a tier 5 unit that's holding this, and he's already got all that health, and then he's not taking any damage when this procs, and the duration is 3 seconds at all ranks. Okay. All right, that's interesting. So it used to be the proc chance was on 12%, and then it would go from like 3 to 4 to 5 seconds. So now it's just going to be 3 seconds at all ranks. Legion Helm, evasion duration changed from 3 to 5 to 3 to 9. That's a huge buff. Narcissus Mirror, they actually took this out because it was pretty broken there for a little bit. Reflection damage changed from 100 to 200%, which was just crazy, which, I mean, it just even at 100%, it meant your tank wasn't taking damage and was just reflecting everything back. So your tank would end up with 6,000 damage to 40 to 120%. So that's fantastic. Tier 3, that item is still going to be pretty busted. Like if you get this item early, you better be looking for those upgrades because that'll be really, really strong. Sanctified Saber, scaling changed from 50 to 100 to 30 to 90%. All right, Miscellaneous. Summoned units. Reduce the max mana of summoned units from 100 to 50. Reducing max mana in this game is a buff, but I'm not sure. I guess if the unit has an ability, reduce the max mana of summoned units. I guess I can't think off the top of my head what unit that would apply to. I guess maybe like Set would be really good with that. If the Set's clones can clone, that would be really strong. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's a buff for summoned units is what that means. Sorry, I can't think straight. UI updates. Added transparency to the in-game HUD. Okay, very cool. Bug fixes. Fixed an issue where Blood rank 3 was applying an incorrect value. Fixed an issue where Loki would sometimes not deal damage after teleporting. That's a really good one. I wonder if other ones have been fixed where they just don't do damage. Fixed an issue where Athena's ability target could sometimes be hit before the effect expired. Okay. Fixed an issue where Soul's ability could sometimes miss. Yeah, that's annoying. Fixed an issue where Camazot's ability could sometimes refire. Interesting. Fixed an issue where Tusky would dash for a duration after reaching his destination. This is probably the biggest one of these bug fixes so far. This made Artemis a terrible hunter and not really worth picking up because she would cast her ability, which is Tusky, and he would charge, and then he would just run in place for a few seconds before he did anything. If he could get it off, that's great. But because it took so long, it just made her so bad. So Artemis is going to be a strong hunter again after this patch. Look for that. Fixed an issue where Poseidon's ability stun was lasting longer than intended. That's what we talked about before. Fixed an issue where the damage on Poseidon's ability was benefiting from Opportunist with his own stun. That's a interesting fix. That, because, yeah, that was easily abused effect because Opportunist gives you more damage when people are crowd controlled, but it didn't make sense for Poseidon's ability to do that if he was damaging them and stunning them. So that's also another great fix for Poseidon. He's definitely going to come down on the S+ of tier lists as he has been. And that is all they have posted in this patch notes. Keep an eye out, though, because the last few patches they posted patch notes, and then there's been other stuff thrown in there, like traits included that weren't before or traits taken out that they didn't talk about. They didn't mention anything in here about fixing Pele, so maybe Pele's still broken, and that sucks. Yeah, that's too bad. They didn't mention Pele at all. But they did mention Artemis, so you'll want to start picking up Artemis after this patch. Also, I apologize for my shirt. This is my playing with my son shirt, and I just put him to bed, and he likes to rip up my pockets and basically spill things on these shirts. That's why it's kind of a crappy t-shirt, so I apologize for that. But thank you for listening to the patch notes. Get ready to play some more Prophecy tomorrow on Monday. What is today? I don't even know. I had to look up the date here. That's not good. Come on. What's the date? Okay, so today's the 31st. So Monday, June 1st, they are putting out a patch early in the morning. And so by the time you're playing this, you'll have all of the information that you need to know to set up your games. Thanks for watching.